Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Good morning. Good morning. Great day. Happy Sunday, everybody. It is me, Dr.T Timms, your clinical psychologist, right here on Roll Out Digital Live. How are you today? I hope that everyone is doing fine. I hope that you are blessed and in good spirit. God gave us another day. He didn't have to. So, in that, for me, that's enough for me to find some type of joy and happiness along the way. So today, make sure you guys have the number so that you're able to call in. If there's anyone that you think would benefit from hearing a message about health and wellness on the topics that we're going to discuss, and sometimes off topics, share this with them. Invite them to come in. Holiday season is coming up. Go ahead and gift them with the $5 a month to buy them a membership, because it is something that very well may help other people and to help to change lives and save lives. And truly, that is my passion. That is my calling. That is the calling that God put on my life. So today, there's a few things I want to discuss, because there's some major things that are continuing to happen in the world as we are still in COVID. COVID is still alive and well. It is transforming into other forms. Pretty soon we'll probably run out of the Greek alphabet, right? But the reality is there's a lot of things that are happening as a result of a lot of stress and stressors, particularly on the youth. So all of you out there that are parents or aunties, godparents, or just a part of a village, please pay attention to your children. Just the way that we're feeling the stress and the strife, and some of us trying to get back to normalcy, or that which we believe is normalcy, you got to remember that they are people too, and they don't have the experience that we have as being adults. So keep those things in mind. And some of the things that children face that is not talked about enough is bullying. A lot of bullying goes on in the schools. A lot of bullying happens at home. And unfortunately, what we have found, according to the CDCP, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is that actually during COVID, when children were home and we were all pretty much locked in. I know I was locked in for a year and a half minimum. I probably had no contact with anyone other than my son, the grocery store workers, and the people at Home Depot, because I truly took everything to heart and did everything I could to protect myself. And it's crazy because at my main job, look what happened. I go back to work, and because they did not give me the environmental protections, I now have something going on internally. So working through that. So forgive the raspiness of my voice. And sometimes it goes in and out, but I am sipping on something hot. All right. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about cyberbullying. Have any of you out there who may be listening in, if you have any concerns or children who have been bullied, or if you have questions about it, give me a call at 818-914-4087, and let's discuss it. And perhaps there's something I can do to help you, be it at school, at home, or in the community. Now, the reason I talk about school, home, and the community is for this very simple reason. Those are our ecosystems. Those are the systems that we are a part of. We start off just ourselves in the center, and then we branch out to our parents and our family, and then we branch out to our friends and maybe cousins or other relatives or significant people in our lives. And then there's the school and the church or community activities. All of those things are a part of our lives. So as we as adults talk about those things and think about those things, it's very imperative that we remember that children are also dealing with the same issues. Okay? So now, what are some things that we can do to help to bring back balance to living and to life? If you watched last week, you know that positive affirmations are helpful, and also deep breathing is very helpful. And we will do deep breathing every time we have a show, because it is that one thing that keeps me calm. So I also want to teach you all how to be calm, even in the midst of your storms, bringing centeredness to yourself, allowing the oxygen to go into your brain, because at times you could just get so riled up, and then your rationality and level of thinking, even on a simple level, can be altered. So those things are very important. And as adults, returning to work in a normal life, we'll just say normal with the little rabbit ears, whatever that is, can be hard. Like I said, in my situation, I'm all at work and working, and all of a sudden I'm running back and forth to Kaiser and all of these different medications they want to try, and I'm like, ended up with a CT scan just to find out again that environmentally, being at a site that's 100 years old doesn't work for my breathing. So now I'm suffering the consequences of that. So there are stressors on every side. Now, it is a blessing that because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a go-getter, I don't struggle over money. That's not my thing. God didn't make me poor. He taught me, and I'm his daughter, right? So you don't go without when you have your belief systems and you operate on faith. And sometimes those are the things that we forget to do, and we need to remember to do them so that we are continue to be connected to our Heavenly Father. All right, whatever your belief system is. And if you don't believe, that's okay. That's on you. But I'm a believer, so I'm always going to talk about it. So some things we can do to help each other is to provide reassurance. Reassurance that things are going to get better. Sometimes you got to think outside of your box. I call it the proverbial box. We're so used to being one way. But sometimes if you think outside of that way and you try something different or do something extra or reach out in a different capacity, what you may find is that you're beginning to learn and to understand exactly what it is you're meant to do. All right? And if you have a relationship with your Heavenly Father and you're able to be connected, you're going to have what's called a discerning spirit. And that discerning spirit is going to help you to get there even faster with a better understanding of what your passion is in your life. I said to you in the beginning of the show that my passion is helping other people, teaching other people, showing other people. I got it for the most part. There's a lot of things I still have to learn, but guess what? Life is great. I have no complaints. Now, encouragement is something else that you can offer other people. So we have the reassurances that things are going to get better. Sometimes we got to do things differently to make them better. And then you have the encouragement when people are down and out. Friendly words, kind gestures can go a very long way with even changing the way a person may be feeling in that moment. And that is very powerful. So you have power. You're powerful. You have the power to change the trajectory of someone feeling down or sad or even maybe suicidal, which is something that we see an increase in, particularly in people who look like me, in African American, Black boys and girls, women and men, because the feeling of despair is a real thing. All right. And for anyone feeling like that, the number to the suicide prevention lifeline is 1-800. I believe it's 273-TALK, TALK. And Nick will put it up for us on the screen. Another thing we can do is be active. Get active. Lately, I've been riding bikes, and it has just worked wonders for my thighs. Let me tell you, these thighs are getting so tight. I'm barely even able to walk a week after, okay? But it's giving me energy and giving me life again and something to look forward to doing, something that's free. It doesn't cost anything to participate. Walking outside, getting air, calling a friend, taking a trip if you can afford to do that, driving up the coast, especially if you live in California. We are like, water is what? At the most an hour away, even if you live in the Inland Empire. But it is amazing when you are close to nature and God's creation, what it can do to relax your mind and body and your spirit. All right. Get involved in your community. When you're at home, have time with the family. Now, I know it's hard because we all have these things. Look, I have multiple ones, cell phones, and they interfere. So, as parents, it is up to you to command your children to put those things down. You want to make sure you're having conversation with them because there's a lot going on. Something else I want to warn us all as parents is as the holidays approach, this is the time when depression is at its highest. We are right in the thick of it. We have Thanksgiving coming up, and then we have Christmas coming up. And we know a lot of people got money from the EDD and the PPP and the elemental PABCs, whatever, right? But the reality is, it really wasn't a lot of money. Some of you have never seen that kind of money before, but now here we are coming out of that. And what do you have remaining? So oftentimes people want to have these big Thanksgiving dinners, Christmas gifts. Oh my God, we spend so much money as consumers at Christmas time that it is ridiculous. And I used to be one of those people. And then I finally said, I'm going to have to put a cap on what I spend because I found myself just draining my bank accounts to spend money on things that people weren't going to remember. And material things are really unimportant. Give me your time. Give me your energy. Ask me, am I okay? Ask me, do you need anything of significance? That's what's important. The things that are going to be able to carry us over after the jingle bells are done being sang and the lights are taken down. So those are the things that are important. Sometimes we get away from things that are important, but sustainability is the name of the game, okay? So ask somebody, how can I support you? Check in on people. If you haven't talked to your family in a while, one of the ways that I communicate with my siblings and my mother and my grandmother, by God's grace and mercy, who is 93 and still kicking, and my aunts and my brothers and everybody is by way of Marco Polo, or FaceTime. My brother sent the message at 5 this morning, and I'm like, oh, Lord, I hope everything's okay. Yeah, he's just in a different state, just checking in, and my mom was up, and I was up, and my sister was up, and that's how we check in, because those are the things that can help us to remain connected. Connectedness, being together, not feeling alone, the feeling of isolation can be very great. So just remember all of those things and keep those things in mind. And just remember reassurance, encouragement. Find yourself some activities. Include your children. They need to get out of the house. They need to get away from PlayStation 10s or whatever is out there now. My son bought one. It was $700. I was not contributing to that nonsense. Please. You have a PlayStation, Nick?
I have like an old Xbox.
Okay.
I have an X, which is probably like 5 years old.
Okay.
Years old,
It still
like
works?
Yeah, it still works.
So what's the point in upgrading?
I don't know. Some people, it's very submersive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand for young men, like if you have these ideas about being athletes and all this kind of stuff, you can kind of submerge yourself in a virtual reality. Did you play? Do you have a daughter?
No daughters.
No daughters. Do you have
I want
nieces?
daughters. I want some stepkids.
Do you have nieces?
I have nieces,
Okay.
yes.
Did they play like Sims growing up? Like the Sims game?
Only one of them, 2 of them did. Only
you
2
guys
of them did.
Well, you played Barbies and stuff, right?
No, I didn't play with Barbie.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
So in my day,
You gotta have some, what would you play with?
I'm significantly older than you. We played outside. We played in the street with the boys and threw the football. We were outside. I had a 10-speed.
Right. I got you. But now kids can't go outside.
Right.
So what are they supposed to do?
Well, nothing wrong with video games.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
There's nothing wrong. So
Right.
so let me say that, parents, nothing wrong with video games. The problem with video games comes in when video games replaces family time.
Right.
So it's about finding a balance. You have to create a balance there because, and then, oh my God, please be cognizant of the video games that your children are playing. The blood, the gut, the gore, the stuff looks so very, very real. And so what are we teaching them?
My little stepbrother, he told me he wanted to be in the Army. And he's like 6. I'm like, what the hell? And in my interpretation, I hear you want to go shoot people.
Right.
That's what I think of when I think of the Army.
Right.
So I was like, well, why do you want to join the Army? Like, this is kind of, most kids want to be an athlete or something. You know?
Correct.
I'm like, this is kind of strange. He said, because I like playing Call of Duty. You know, and that's one of those video games, like, we look at it as entertainment, right?
Yeah.
But when you take a step back and you actually see what's going on,
Yeah.
they're going to another country, whether it's virtual or not,
Right.
and they're shooting people who don't look like them,
Right.
who look like another group of people, whether it's in a video game or not.
Yeah.
And that's programming kids to think this is something they can grow up and
Yes.
they should grow up and do.
Yes.
So I thought that was a little disturbing. You know,
It's
what I mean?
very
That was a little
disturbing.
disturbing. So
And then it creates the mindset that if you hurt or kill somebody, they'll come back to life when you restart the game.
right,
Some of
or
these games.
I don't think that. I think it's that it's not a big deal.
True.
Like, I think it becomes so desensitized that I remember growing up in like when I played video games, you didn't kill nobody.
Right.
You just beat the bad guy up.
Well, we had Pac-Man. So we did
Right.
Atari.
Right.
Centipede.
See,
Mario
and I played,
Brothers.
like, well, I guess my generation got a little violent. We
Yeah,
played,
y'all got
we played
violent.
Mortal Kombat, which is like ripping some dude's head off and all. But these people didn't look like people,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the difference. Like, they didn't look like the people you would see every day. There's a video game called Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, I know.
It's very. This is why now the action. Like, I get snatching people out of the cars, beating them up. Like, it's not real enough that you should get lost in that. But what is interesting is the neighborhood and the characters.
Okay.
So they have a ghetto area,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Keep in mind, this is a video game, so you could have made this reality whatever you wanted to make it. The
Right.
majority of the people in this area are obviously poor.
Right.
They're obviously out of shape,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of prostitutes.
So what area is it? Like
It's
with
just it's a
socioeconomic area,
And it's-
gang banging?
Yeah, because they got on green rags, and then they have a Mexican area where they're gang banging, and their neighborhood is tore down.
So it's blacks and Mexicans?
Yeah, but then you
Okay.
could drive to the nice area, right?
Who lives there?
Of course, right? All the nice cars
Don't
in the
get me
hills.
started,
And
Nick.
this is a video game,
Right.
and they have a Chinatown.
Right.
It's a nicer area. So as I'm doing, and I'm grown looking at this, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's
So
a problem.
as a kid, this
Mhm.
is psychologically going to program you emotionally
That's right.
to accept these things.
That's right.
You know, as your just your reality. So
Yeah.
that part to me was a little disturbing.
It is very disturbing.
So I hear you on not allowing, and I think that much like music, I feel like music too. I feel music's a little more dangerous.
You know what's crazy? It used to be what we call subliminally, like they would kind of slide in
Right.
things from time to time.
Right.
Now, some folks are just so bold, it's very blatant.
Right.
You know, it's just we're going to do whatever the hell we want to do.
Right.
And we're going to show and say whatever the hell we want to say. And it's very offensive. And I don't like it.
Right.
And so what I've been doing lately is I've been exposing it because our people cannot continue to be ill-advised. You got to wake up. You guys got to wake up and see what's really happening because it's truly affecting your children.
Right.
You know, you look at nail polish, the black polish, the emo thing. That wasn't something that we were doing. So now let me say that when I say this to you, something I want you all to be aware of as parents. In the fall, in the schools, what I would constantly see after 25 years of service were children in the fall that would come in and they would call themselves emos. And so you knew them visually, many of them, because they wore the black nail polish and the all black clothing. And not all of them, but per capita, probably the majority of them were cutters, emotional cutters.
Mm-hmm.
And so you wouldn't see the cuts on their arms because they would wear black sweatshirts. It could be 2,000 degrees outside. They had on a black sweatshirt because they're covering themselves. And so that happens a lot around February, around the springtime. So again, parents, as I'm advising you to pay attention to your children, you know, check some sleeves and arms because it's something that's very popular on campuses, on the school campuses.
Weed is popular too. If your kid is 14, they smoking weed.
Weed is very popular.
Just assume they smoking weed at 14, 15.
Yeah.
I think that's the age most people start to experiment with things like that.
Well, I didn't, but yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody I know who smokes weed like
Mhm.
religiously, I started at 25 at a way later date, but everyone that I know after that, they pretty much started at 15, 16. You know, I think that's the age where you have your first drink, you know, or at least a sip of alcohol. of
At
some
least a
sort.
sip.
You're probably going to try, you know, so I would say, and I would assume, because this is at the same age where boys and girls are going through hormonal changes.
Yes.
I would assume it has something to do with hormones.
A lot of it has to do with hormones. A lot of it has to do with what they're seeing in these video games and the influences from peers and irresponsible adults.
As me being a child once in my life, if I had to give parents any advice, I would say talk to your kids. You know, I think one of the biggest things for me was when I was real little, I would always talk to my grandmother about problems I had.
Yes.
And then 10, 11, 12, I would talk to my mom about certain things. My dad was kind of on the road, but we would chop it up. You know, he would set aside some time. We'd be in the car. We'd chop it about a few things, you know. And it really helped me kind of sort out and deal with my emotions, you know, and not have to succumb to peer pressure. You know, like my dad, he told me the only time he would be mad at me if I was to be a follower.
And that's what we were taught as well.
Right, and that was a very important conversation to have because I didn't have to assume anything now.
No.
I didn't have to guess. I knew that this is where the line was.
Yeah.
You know, so when it came to peer pressure, I had a way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a way. I had a way out to get out of that and say, hey, no, I can't be. My dad said I can't be no follower.
Nope.
You know, and you have to, as a kid, no matter how you have to respect that.
Yeah.
You're gonna look at a kid and go, oh, okay, I can understand.
Well,
you know
he told you well, and your dad is not significantly older than I, but that was the same thing we were taught as well. So if we were going to get our asses whooped, it was because we didn't make decisions for ourselves.
Right.
And unfortunately, in this day and time, it's not popular to use your own brain and make decisions.
Right.
If you're going to rob a bank, you need to be the one that implemented that plan.
Right.
And so, you know, that's what's
funny.
not happening.
That's how I was raised too.
Yeah. But it's a great way to be raised because you have to be a free thinker, you know, because there are consequences for our behavior, for the things we say, for the things we do, as well as the things that we don't do. Excuse me. Now, something else that people don't do, we like to talk. Y'all know I love to talk. This is my niche. This is my thing, y'all. And I've had to learn over time, not only by being a therapist, but by being a mother and still learning as a sister and an auntie and a friend and a significant other, you know, to listen. We talk, we hear, but are we listening to what the person is saying? Now, many of you do not know how to listen. Sometimes you just need to shut up, pay attention to what's being said, and save your questions or your comments and commentary until the end, period. If you do that, you will find more peace. Now, for me, to learn how to be an active listener, I used to have to take notes. Okay, what they say, I used to have to jot. Oh, she said that, he said that, until I was able to train myself. You don't need to do that. You just really need to be there with that person, be in the room with that person at that time, you know, and offer empathy if you can. Now, empathy is something like, for example, if someone experienced the death of a loved one and you experienced that same thing, you can empathize with them, which is different than sympathy. Sympathy is more so if they lost someone and you have not, you still feel for them, but you're not able to quite relate to it, right? Which is one of the things, like we were saying before, when it comes to people who are not of our culture doing things that are a part of our culture or using vernacular and language, no matter how inappropriate it may be for us to use, for them to use it, to play it in their songs, to have it on their little what do you call this stuff? Social media, you know, it says a lot about a person. And it's really being highlighted more so now. And I'm going to help to highlight it because some of us need to get back to reality. We need to learn how to break the psychological chains of slavery that have come down with us through ancestry over time and is still here, which is why we need to be able to pay attention to the world that we live in, to the things that our children are being exposed to. Because some of you don't even know that your children have contemplated suicide. Some of you don't even know that your children have attempted suicide. So let me tell you, that's not something you want to experience or walk in on or even have one of their friends experience, because it's going to affect the psyche of your children. So those are some things, also to be aware of. So learn how to become an active listener. Hear what your kid is saying. Don't already have your
Disposition.
there you go, predisposition, or your forethought. Because before my son said anything, my thing was, I'm his mother. I know him very well, so I know what he's gonna say. So I would just cut him off at the pass and bloop 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 in my way, and I wasn't aware of how that was making him feel internally, which was not a good thing. And so it took some time, and it took me to change my approach with him, understanding that he is the most important person and thing in my world. And so I needed to respect him as such. So respect, that's another thing that we forget sometimes. What do you guys think?
I definitely think so. I think talking to my parents growing up, it took a little minute for us to get to that line where I had kind of had to demand that respect. You know what I mean?
Sure. And we don't like that as parents.
Yeah, but
just do what I said.
Once I got jumped at school, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. Like, I was like, yo,
That's
I just
horrible.
got jumped by like 6 dudes. It's nothing my mama could do to me.
Wow.
There's nothing she could say to me that's gonna hurt worse than what I just went. And it wasn't that bad. I'm like, and this wasn't that bad. So I'm cool now. Like,
yeah,
all the fear went out the way.
Wow.
And I think as a kid, once that happens, there's nothing left but respect. So
Yeah.
I would tell parents, like, I would make it an emphasis to develop that respect early.
Yeah.
Like, it was interesting with my mom. She was more fear based, because she's a female.
Right.
So her raising us was more fear based. Do this, I'm gonna whoop you. My dad was always operated from a respect standpoint.
Yeah.
And I feel like that worked, maybe because we were boys at the time, but that definitely worked for us better.
Yeah.
Because I was more afraid of disappointing my dad than getting a whooping. The whooping
Yeah.
thing, it didn't bother me.
Right.
But
right.
For me to disappoint my dad was a big thing.
Yeah.
Because he was always cool. He was
Yeah.
never mad.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, parents. I think when parents are always mad and yelling, kids become numb to it.
Yeah.
You
They
know,
do.
and my dad never yelled. He never got mad. So when he did, it was a big deal.
You knew
It was, like,
about
damn,
the business.
Yeah, we really crossed the line. I need to check myself. You
Yes.
know, I must have been because he don't trip over nothing. So I think those two different ways of kind of dealing with it. And I think age has a lot to do with it. I think once we started to get of an age where my mom kind of figured the whoopings wasn't going to work anymore,
Yeah.
we went to live with my dad and had to experience that respect part, You just need to respect other. My dad would be like, how you going to eat up all my stuff? Which, living with your mom, you would never hear that.
Right.
This is
Right.
for the house.
Yeah.
But my dad made it clear, like, no, these are your cookies and these are my cookies. So now we have
Yeah.
now you have to deal with respecting other people's things, though.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and that helped a lot growing up. Being able to talk about those things. And unfortunately, when I meet other young men, who don't have an emotional outlet, I would say that's how I would describe it. So when I meet other young men and I might get in an argument with you, and you get to calling me names and all of that, when I was younger, those are fighting words.
Right.
But as I got around my dad, and I started to notice that most of the men who responded that way, and that was their emotional outlet, they didn't have a dad.
Right.
You
And
know?
it makes a difference.
Right. So they couldn't process the emotions.
Right.
And the only way they can express it was the way their mother did, which was going to be, let me protect myself because I'm the smaller person in this situation.
Yeah.
Which makes sense,
Yeah. It is a difference, the way that many women and mothers, the way that we treat our sons particularly. I am a single mom, been a single mom since my child, I divorced his dad as soon as possible. So I've been divorced about 20 years. And I've been a single mom. I mean, I've had relationships in between that time, but really nothing even really worth mentioning, because if it was, it would still be in existence. Let's just put it that way. And one of the things that I think about over time, that I thought about over time, was that I felt like a failure because I wasn't able to provide a good enough stepfather for my son, or even a role model for my son. Now, he's had some good role models. He has uncles, He's had uncles who's passed. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Marty, and very significant men in his life that helped along the way. But that one that he leaned on the most was me. And he had a relationship with his dad up until maybe 9 years old. And then his dad just made a decision for whatever reason to just get ghost or whatever. So trying to provide that balance for my son was very hard as a single mother, because one thing I've always understood, I can love my son, I can give him the world, I can teach him certain things, but at a certain point in life, about between 9 and 12, he needed to have a dad. So that is something, if I could go back in my life and change things, that's the one thing I would change, is my son would have a great father or father figure or stepfather.
Me and my roommate was talking about this the other day. And I think this is interesting because I think in the Black community, women are taught they're supposed to raise the children.
Yeah.
Right? And they think that's biblical. Close the door. They think that's biblical. And this is actually what they're quoting, right? So this is Titus 2 and 4. This is the job of the woman, right? Is that they may teach the young women to be sober and love their husbands and to love their children.
Okay.
Now, this was the interesting part to me.
Okay.
It said for the women to teach the younger women how to be wives. It mentions nothing about women teaching little boys nothing.
Right.
In the whole, I searched the scriptures. It's not in there.
Right.
So that by default tells me that becomes the husband or the man's responsibility to raise the men.
Yeah. And then where is that from?
This is Titus. This is the King James. Titus.
I love when Nick talk. I learn.
This is Titus 2 and 4. So I think this should more so be the structure for the family. Us going forward is the men to understand it is not the woman's job to raise men. It's not in the scriptures. So you have no resource to back that up. That's just a philosophy you came up with.
Right.
Because according to this, we have to raise men. The women are supposed to raise the women.
Right.
And that makes sense to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I really think that and I think that that's been a cultural thing. Like from my whole life, I was taught women raise children. That's all I ever heard. The women stay home and they raise the kids.
Well, and that's how we were raised. Like my father, who was my stepfather, but my father by all intents and purposes, because that man taught me everything. He's very instrumental with respect to the woman that I am today. But with his comings and goings and the instability that it brought to the home, it never brought unstable money. So we were fine financially. We were what you would call poor, but he would work. But when he had to spend time away at the different house, it was my mother. My mother did everything for us, everything. My mother volunteered at our school. So we went to Budlong Elementary School and John Muir Middle School, right over there on 59th in Vermont. And the schools were only separated by a gate, a metal gate. So my mother was at the school so much, we thought our mother worked at the school, but our mother was volunteering. But our mother would pay so close attention to us that, how kids would go and cut the gate and ditch out. She's like, yeah, I would sit there and watch y'all to see if y'all was coming through that gate. But see, we knew better. We knew better than to, are you kidding? We would have got beat right on the spot. But it is because of that. And then also grandma's hands. My grandparents were extremely instrumental in the upbringing, in the church, making sure that we were in church and that we had some type of religion foundation, be it right, wrong, or indifferent, or what people think about church. I believe that a religious foundation is extremely important. And then my son, when he grew up, I'm going to be a Muslim. I'm going to be a this. I'm going to be a that. And I wasn't surprised because his father wanted to be a Muslim, but he was not ready to conform to what was required to be a true Muslim. So then he probably would have been a 5%er.
You got to be Middle Eastern to be a Muslim.
Well, that would be one.
That's half the
Don't
battle.
start, Nick.
That's half
Don't
the battle right
there.
Don't
get too deep, Nick.
Half the battle right there. Nigga.
Right.
It's like it's being a samurai.
Right.
Could be Asian. Nigga.
But, it's just all of these things. But just to have the guidance and the leadership of our parents back then, and you have your dad and you have your mom, these kids coming up today, who do they have? And what are they teaching them? So if you guys are out there, I'd really like to know your thoughts and opinions. Please call in. Somebody call in. We want to hear the phone ring. Where Vern at?
Yeah, calling. It is Sunday, Doc. So you know though.
I know it's Sunday. It's
A lot
football.
of heathens is watching.
I
Two
know.
men grab each other right now, which is kind of strange, but you know.
Well, I wish I was one. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, that could be an emotional outlet, I guess, right? Sports.
You know, it can be.
What was your emotional outlet as a kid?
Being able to play outside, being able to talk to my grandmother. My grandmother was and is my best friend. You know, now as I've gotten older and, you know, just as time permits or don't permit, and with this COVID, that has certainly changed because I refuse to be sounding like this and go around my mother, my grandmother, any babies. I'm just not going to do it. Plus my grandniece, my sister said it was very scary what she just got over. So I don't do that because I'm out too much and whatever is going on here. But we played outside. We had a religious foundation. We were in church 6 days a week. BTU, revival, Sunday school, church, and everything else.
I was babysitting back then.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you could. I went to my grandmother dropped. We went to Angela Mesa. Anybody from LA? You know where that's at? We went to Angela Mesa Sunday school, Saturday school. I'm sure we went during the week. I think on like a Thursday or something.
Yeah.
But I felt like she was just doing that to babysitters though. Because we were going to the kid church, and I don't know where she would be.
Oh, no, honey. We were participating.
Oh, no,
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Acts and the letters of the Romans. We knew the Bible. We knew the Old Testament and New Testament. We were learning. We were taught. We were challenged. We were made to think. We were made to develop logic at a very early age because we were made to think. We weren't allowed to just say any old thing. You know, we had to talk. We had to provide rationale for why we thought the way we did. And all of those things go a very, very long way. But they have to be instilled very early on. You get your kid at the age of 14, 16, 18. Now, 18, they're not even trying to hear what you're trying to say no more. You know, that's like out the door. But, you know, there's still hope, parents. There's hope. But you got to develop a bond with your kids. And when you're choosing mates, please be very careful about who and what you have around your children. You got to be sensitive to what their needs are all the way around, emotionally, mentally, physically. We know kids like to buck up at parents and step parents and pseudo step parents and whatever it is. You got to be able to take it. Because we are the adults. Well, but you have to redirect lovingly or you're going to lose a kid.
Let me say this, man.
What?
This is one thing I love.
Okay, we about to battle.
I love my parents for. My mom was very clear about that line in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a mistake. The first time I disrespected her was the last time.
Sure.
She put a knife on me, put it right to my throat.
Yeah.
Said she ended right there.
Yeah.
In front of my little brother and my older brother.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at them like, y'all not going to help?
Yeah.
And she was like, I do it right here.
Yeah.
My dad the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I hit him with a B-box. I just said, psh. He flew behind the couch so fast and was in my face so fast. Like, yo, you say anything else, nigga, it's over.
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
And I can respect that.
Yes.
Because he said, listen, he said, you got to understand, I'm not going to lose to my son. So just know that before you make a move.
Yes.
Just process that part.
Yes.
So me growing up, I understand that. You have to just put a line in the sand. Whatever the consequences are, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
If you want to come take this little kid, that's cool. But what's not going to happen?
Yeah.
You're not going to disrespect.
You're not going to disrespect.
I'm going to beat you in front of the police station.
The first time my son got raw with me, I was driving. I had it was a little Ford Explorer. Stick shift. Somehow I wanted a stick shift. Don't ask me why. I wanted a stick shift. So I went out. Whatever I wanted, I always bought. I want that car. I want that house. That's just me. Bought a stick shift. He called me a liar when I was driving him to school. Before I knew it, I wasn't thinking about a stick or a clutch. My hand just went to the back and popped him in his mouth. Now, I'm 5'5". My son is 6'4", 6'3.5", 6'4". At that time, in the 5th grade, he was already taller than I. So I knew we weren't going to school that day. I knew work was canceled for me that day. So I turned my car around, went back home, and I'm like, Lord, you gotta, I gotta be able to shock him. I gotta be able to show him I'm not playing with him. Now many jokes on Bill Cosby, but one of the things I remember that he said on the Cosby Show was, I brought you in this world, I'll take you out. And I truly believe in that. And that's probably where your parents were with it too, because before you disrespect me, you're going to leave this earth. Because the reality is this: if you disrespect your parents, you will disrespect the police. And we know what that looks like. So when I got home, God put it on my heart, let him in the house. I jumped on his back and I took him down to the ground. And that scared him. He was like, he didn't say it to me, but I knew by way of his cousins, she's crazy. My mom is crazy. And that's all I wanted to instill, because you don't want to hurt your children. Most of us don't. And if you do, make sure you guys call and reach out for help, because we don't want you hurting your children. But we know it's high stress time. Holidays are coming and it happens, but you just got to find that balance. But I'm glad I took the time to pray, because ain't no telling what I would have done to Mr. Elijah. Ain't no telling. You can't call me a liar. You can't. And he got a beating one time. A good one. A good one. I forgot what it was for, but just those two incidents.
Right.
He's 21. He's in college. He's almost done. He's going to study abroad next semester. What can I say?
Sometimes you need to get popped, man. What can you say? You don't forget them, so I guess they work.
Yeah.
I don't believe in hitting people.
I
feel like
it worked for us, and we got it good.
Like
even when we didn't deserve it, we was.
I feel like my dad never hit me. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
But that says something.
Yeah,
you know
it does.
What I mean? Because if you can win a war without fighting it, that's the best kind of war to fight.
Right.
So if I can raise my kids without having to put my hands on you, that's ideal.
I love it.
But don't get it twisted.
I love it.
But the difference was, like, I got to see my dad beat people up.
Okay.
So I got to see it in action.
You knew what would be coming.
I knew, like, okay, I know he ain't just finna with the belt with the like, this gonna get violent in here.
Right. Right.
So that added a little balance to it. But I feel like even my grandfather, like my granddad, my mom's dad, he was. I was telling my wife this. He was the kind of guy on Sundays, his house would just be quiet. And even as kids, I don't remember anybody ever telling us nothing. Nothing. Everyone knew. Don't call his house. Don't ring the doorbell. Like, nothing happened at his house. It was just dead silent. He never raised his voice to nobody. He always had respect from none of the kids ran in his house. If you ate something, you immediately washed the dishes. Like, all the things your parents asked you to do in his house, it just happened. And he never whooped anybody, nothing. So
you didn't have to.
Right. So I always kind of like wanted to be like that when I got older. I didn't want to have to beat a kid to. And I don't think you do. I think if you have a good enough. I think for moms it's a little different though.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Because I tested
because they're boys. He's bigger than
yeah.
me, and I'm like, oh no. And I think can't get that twisted.
And for most black mothers, I think you might have to show your son. You don't have to. And that's the thing. Like you said, you don't have to do much to him, but you have to just show him I'm a little crazy.
Just a little bit.
And I'm willing to go all the way.
All the way.
And I think once I seen that from my mom, I was like, I'm cool. I'm not that upset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not that,
Yeah.
So I understand.
And it makes them better because for my son, like I said, it was just he and I. That was it. Me, him, and God. And me and God, we did an amazing job because of who my son is today. Now, he still thinks I'm a little crazy. He might be right to some degree because we weren't played with as children. We didn't get played with. It was like you come in the house, you do your chores.
Right.
Nobody had to remind us to do anything because those things were instilled in us all the way. You don't get to watch TV. I didn't watch much TV. I don't watch much TV now, you know that. Yeah. But I listen to music. I was the 8-track girl. All the 8 tracks, Kool and the Gang, Marvin Gaye. That was my thing, music. So for me not to be able to have music, that was like poking me with a thorn. And so each one of us had something that we loved that we did not want taken away from us. So, and we didn't want to get our asses beat because my father didn't play. And when you got one of them whoopings, you got a whooping. And if my mother whooped you, she didn't really know how to whoop. It was really going to hurt worse than his. So you didn't want to be experimented on either. So pretty much we did what we were told to do. We followed routines. We weren't allowed to spend the night out unless it was at our grandparents' homes, one or the other. Um, and very strict. When the adults came over, children are to be seen and not heard. Let me tell you what the rule was, Nick. If we were allowed to go outside on that day and at that time, you come in, you give your aunt and your uncle a hug and a kiss, you go out of sight. You didn't sit on no laps. So there were rules that were put in place.
Right.
You go in your room or you go outside, period.
Right.
And we knew that.
Well, my mom was the same way.
Yeah.
As you're saying this, I remember as a kid.
I see you laughing.
I didn't sleep. I've never spent the night at nobody's house.
Yeah.
My mom was not going. I don't even know what that was, but she just wasn't having it. So like we never spent the night at anyone's house, only my dad's house. I remember when what was that? New York Undercover would come on. I'm saying that might be like 9:30. I knew we had to go to sleep. Like that was like, we already knew. Like as soon as the sound came on, we started packing our little stuff up and just head to the room. And it's time to go to bed.
Yeah. And you better not go against it. And sometimes our parents would be like, "Well, you can stay up an extra 30 minutes because we did
we
what we were supposed to do."
Color. Yep.
There you go.
Watch Living Color. I remember that vividly. Yeah, and I think structure like that is extremely important. Kids nowadays, I don't know. It's weird because, like you said, when I was a kid, my mom would say, "Hey, I don't remember hanging out with her and her friends. That was never a thing. We were either in the room or we outside. But today, it's the iPad. Is a substitute from the room and outside.
Right.
And I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing because
I see both. I see both because I tell you, these babies now it's like they come out knowing how to work iPads.
But they're designed for babies to know how to work them.
Yeah, it works well.
Right.
The only thing I say about it is just when you don't have a balance of anything that is like real life, take your kid to the zoo.
Right.
Take them to the beach.
Don't take your kids to animal prison. That's horrible.
Well, okay. But I'm just saying, get them outside, something different. Life behind the iPad. What does that look like? Let me tell you something. When I worked in schools in the inner cities, it was crazy to me because I have an aunt. Well, I had an aunt. R.I.P. My aunt is the one who exposed me to culture, the arts. She would always take me to the beach. She would take us up to Palos Verdes. She would take us out to Redondo Beach, to the pier. She just exposed us, the Nutcracker, the library. I just remember all these wonderful memories of time spent with my aunt. She didn't have any children, so we were her children, my mom's children, because I didn't have cousins until I was grown when my first cousin appeared, Miss Michaela and Marcus, R.I.P., a lot of R.I.P.s. But we had that exposure, but I've learned not to assume that all people have because I had met children that had never been to the beach.
Oh, yeah.
It just blew my mind.
I didn't think I've never been to the beach.
So you know what I did? I started reaching out to bus companies to get these kids exposed to the city, get them to the beach. Okay, can we get tickets for the Galaxy game? How about the Clippers? How about the Lakers? And did all those things to give them exposure. So that's why it's important, parents, to get your kids out as much as you can. You can catch a basketball game, especially like preseason time, for next to nothing.
You know what I would tell parents though, because I often think about this. I kind of look at things and see whatever the nature of it is, right?
Sure.
So I would say if you have a kid and say he loves basketball, so he plays basketball at school, and then he come home and all he does is play basketball video games, right?
Right.
What I would do is get him a class once a week on programming video games. I have a friend of mine named Brother Matty. He's an older gentleman, so I don't know if he's still in the video game space. But he was one telling me at the time he was one of like 100 black people that worked in that space. And it's everything to do from graphics to designing actual video games. And if you look at the nature of video games, they don't really have too many of our expressions in them.
Right.
Even the dance games are kind of corny.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff. And it's because we are not in that space a lot of times.
Right.
So I would tell, the black parents and Latino parents out there, if your kids are really into video games, the way to break up that monotony and not seem like the bad guy maybe is to get them some classes on how to develop their own video game.
Yeah.
Because then instead of spending 6 hours a day playing somebody else's game, they can spend that 8 hours a day developing their own game and maybe become a billionaire by the time they're 10, so.
Well, guess what?
That's what I would do to her.
Excellent
Yeah.
advice. And so that's what I did as a parent. I made sure that my son was connected to different organizations. And guess what his major is? Computer science.
There you go.
Computer science.
That's how you make the money.
And he's doing it.
You know, I would love to, cause we speak about emotional outlet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being kind of submerged in one place and not being able to kind of experience things. And your son's in computer science. I would love to talk to your son about the metaverse. Have you heard of such thing?
I've heard you mention it a few times, Nick.
So I would love, especially if we're talking about emotional outlets, because we're all saying that, you know, we're all kind of being disconnected
Sure.
from one another.
Yeah,
and it's
we are.
obviously causing an emotional kind of fracture in the world. We can see that.
Sure.
So how do you feel about the world kind of pushing its way more towards that way? So the metaverse, I just looked this up.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a digital space, much like the current world where everything exists.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you would have malls, you would have art galleries, you would have a closet, you would have a home, you would have dogs and families and friends, and you know, so I would assume. So imagine you have a Facebook, right?
Yes.
And that you have a lot of friends on your Facebook.
About 5,000.
Okay. So and do you have any emoji on your Facebook?
No.
That little emoji. Do you have one on your phone?
No.
That little character emoji.
No, I just have my picture.
Well, you seen my dad's emoji because he has his. Okay, so imagine if your emoji was a 3D dimensional thing now in your Facebook space.
Yeah.
And all your friends in your Facebook world had emojis, right? And then Facebook put up a digital coffee shop where all you guys can go meet and earn points for Starbucks and talk in this space and whatever. That's essentially what's going to happen. Do you think that's going to be worse for the emotional space of people and this connectivity that you're trying to bring back? Or do you think some way, somehow, there's going to be some kind of positivity in people being able to fantasize their own worlds and spaces?
Wow. I think that maybe a little of both. I think just based on what you're saying and not knowing too much about it, some people don't like to live in reality.
Right.
And when you don't live in reality, you tend to isolate. And the higher rates of suicide and depression, anxiety, those things begin to set in. And I think we talked last week about mental health conditions that can lay dormant until they are made to come to the surface. So situations like that can lead to that. If you are a person who lacks socialization skills for all intents and purposes, let's just say people who have autism or autistic characteristics, one of the major things, not for all people, not for all of them, but for many of them, is the lack of social connectedness, being able to pick up on social cues. So something like that might be advantageous to kind of mimic for them. But the worry part is, what are they mimicking? Is it going to be positive? Is it going to be negative? Is it going to start off one way and then Mark Zuckerberg make it something evil and deceitful? You know, or is it something that can truly maybe show someone who lacks socialization how to get along? Because with COVID, the number one problem with children is lack of socialization, even as they're coming back to school. The negative that I see in it is that, again, it takes away from the reality of people connecting with people, you know, and taking away that dinner time, table time, or however, you know, it is. Now, when we were younger, we didn't all sit at the table together. My mother and father would sit in the living room, and me and my siblings would be at the table together, and we were not allowed to leave until we cleared our plates. If we asked for it, damn it, we had to eat it. I don't care if you sit there for 4 hours, you're going to eat it, you know. But so if it's meant for good, I can see it being advantageous that way. But I hope that they don't make it something mandatory, because I probably will go off of social media, because I don't care for that. I think it's more like video gaming, and life is just too serious. You know, our people, Black people as a whole, we still sleep. And we need to get woke. And so now we're living in this world, and we're going into coffee shops and Starbucks and the what is it, Bean Tea and Leaf Company or whatever it is. All of these places that our communities, for the most part, until in recent years, we don't know about that, you know? Right. And so we have to be careful on how we do things. Like I said before, things used to be subliminal. You know, the messages that others wanted to get through to us, it would come through cartoons very subtly.
Right.
You were talking about cartoons. You had some facts. You talked about was it Tom and Jerry, Daffy Duck?
Yeah.
What did you
When I was a kid, my mom actually she stole my art book when I was a kid, and she sent it to Disney, and they offered me a scholarship.
Excellent.
To come in, but that's when I got a chance to find out about cartooning and the process of it and the history of it and all that kind of stuff.
Sure, it's excellent.
So when I found out about the history of cartoons, it's a pretty dark history. If you guys should check it out. It's pretty dark history. But it was about programming.
Okay.
Like they only started developing cartoons to deliver messages to children. Which I thought was hilarious. So like you were just saying, if once something starts off as something bad, that's just what it is. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's unfortunately, like you're saying, a lot of these things that are happening to us, unfortunately, they don't have our best interest in mind.
Right.
So when you look at cartoons and you look at how we're depicted, and like you said, it's so I used to always wonder why Goofy talked the way he talked. Like he just kind of seemed like a little country backdoor kind of, like like he's almost slow.
Right.
Like autism a little bit.
Right.
Like because the only people I know that's happy all the time are people that are a little off.
Okay.
Right. Normal people have ups and downs.
You think that's because they don't have to deal with all of the realities of the world?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So when I was I was watching the Goofy movie, which is one of my favorite movies as a kid. But as an adult, I'm looking at the characters and I'm noticing they're a little browner than Mickey Mouse.
Sure.
That was the first little thing. I was like, Goofy got a little rhythm to him. He seems to like music. He's a single father, which is kind of weird because we're talking about cartoons here, so you didn't have to establish that part. And he's kind of irresponsible single father that seems to always mess up. You never get anything right. And that started reminding me of Can't Get Right. Like all of the black characters they would play back in the day.
Sure. Who
were just like goofy and over the top, laughing at things that weren't funny and very eccentric. It all reminded me of Goofy.
Right.
And I was like, wait a minute, nigga, are they trying to say that this is us? And,
Yeah.
Even The Lion King, like a lot
Simba.
of these. Talk about emotional outlets. When I was a kid, when I was a kid, I had a crush on Nyla, the damn cartoon. Right, that sounds crazy.
Simba's girl.
That sounds crazy, right? But as an adult, when I go watch that movie, I have a different perspective, and I ask myself, why are we showing kids anything sexual? Like what these lions are doing in the lions world, that's called having sex. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I couldn't figure that part out. So I was trying to figure out emotionally, what are you doing to these children?
Sure.
When this is even Cinderella. Like, why are we talking to these kids about two adults finding love and trying to hook up?
Yeah, think about Snow White. She had to kiss a prince. Cinderella.
And these are for children. And these are adults, though.
Yes.
The cartoons are all adults.
Yes.
So this is weird.
Okay.
So that's when I'm just kind of sitting back like, this is a little off.
Yes.
I can't really put my finger on it. I used to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse with my little niece. She used to drag me to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. And Mickey and Minnie would be kissing. Or making like little innuendos, and I'm thinking like, well, this is for babies. This is like 1 to 3. So I was like, wow, I didn't realize that programming started so young.
Yeah.
So for the parents out there, I have a difficult time letting the same people who capture my people teach my people. Right? I had this so we're not gonna get this video flagged, so I'm gonna keep this light, y'all.
And I understand that.
Right.
Absolutely.
I asked this question the other day. And no one seems to be able to answer this, but we were talking about the V, and I was like, listen, tell me one thing that these people who currently rule the world, right, these Europeans, or I'm going to use a Bible term, the Edomites, can't get flagged for that. So the Edomites been ruling the world for the last 500 to 1,000 years, and I just asked this person of color, I said, well, you tell me one thing that they haven't lied to you about. Just one thing. Just think of in any category, whether it be food, entertainment, music, art, history, science, your water, anything. We can go down the list. I said I could not think of one thing. So to me, it's a little dangerous to let these same people then instruct you on how you should live your life. Like you said, bring all these things into your neighborhood,
into your homes,
to your
children.
So I do think even like you're saying with the video game thing, so I do think originally, video game thing was the white kid thing. When I was growing up, all the white kids had the video games.
Yeah.
Nigga, you lucky to have the old Nintendo. Nigga, I used to have to go to my uncle's house to play Nintendo.
Right.
I didn't have a Nintendo. You know,
Right.
that wasn't our thing. We had a basketball hoop.
Oh yeah.
So you might be right, Doc. I do think, especially for maybe it may be better for our children, particularly, you know, to get out and get back in touch with nature.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that'll help with the mental state of most of us, you
Sure.
know. To go
Fresh
down
air.
to go down to
Clean
the
air.
beach, go take a hike,
Yes.
go in the mountain. I seen a waterfall one time and that was emotional.
Yeah.
I was in Hawaii and it tripped me out that I had never seen a waterfall.
You ever seen the green sand or the black sand in Hawaii?
No.
You gotta go back.
Yeah, I didn't see the black sand.
You missed some things.
Yeah, I'm
Nick.
down to see. Yeah. But that's all nature, and I honestly think that truly helps. I felt so at peace when I was out there.
Sure.
And I went to the small island, and they had fruit trees, and you could just go walk and pick fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And it put me at such a peace that I could just sit on this beach, not stress about. I want y'all to think about emotionally. Think about this. Imagine waking up, not worrying about what I'm going to eat, where I'm going to live, all this kind of stuff that we constantly stress out every single day. So that to me was really, really dope. I thought that was amazing. And I think since then, I had a point in my life. I want to grow some fruit trees so I could be able to wake up one morning, walk outside, and just pick what I want to eat.
And not have to worry about them being contaminated
Not deal with the stress of that.
pesticides and E. coli and salmonella and all these other
Where they
things that
get
I
it from.
believe is planted in some of these things deliberately. That's
Right.
just my contention, but who am I? Yeah,
Right.
seriously.
So, Doc, I want to ask you, what do you think?
Sure.
What do you think? How do you feel about the emotional state of Black people in America? Like, 'cause I hear all this, we need therapy stuff, but my thing is like, but we're still here. So I don't. That's like trying to counsel somebody in prison. Like, the best thing you can do is let me out if you want to
Thank
really
God
help
for
me.
our ancestors
So
and for that which they have given us, because that's why we're still here, because we've always been a strong people as a whole. And that's why I keep saying it's just time for us to wake up, because when you allow, we don't want to get flagged, I'll just say certain groups of people, even to use the nigger word, that's a problem for me. It's a problem. Okay, the N word.
yeah, there you go.
We'll cut that out.
Yeah,
What minute are we on? Then we don't want to get
yeah
flagged.
I got you.
But that word,
Right.
you know, even for us, you know, I don't know. I don't know if it's right to use or wrong to use, but I do know that because of the connotation of what it meant and what it means, it just irks my soul. And you talk about subliminal. So I look at different pages on social media,
Mm-hmm.
and it just bothers me when I hear certain songs played in people's stories or on their pages, and they think it's okay to use the N word in the songs. It's just like the clip I showed you guys this morning with this, let's just call her Karen, you know. And just you're just too comfortable.
Right.
You're too comfortable. You're too familiar. That's a problem.
Right.
That is a problem. And, you know, you think about the plight of Black women. I'm going to go back a little bit for you guys. You know, we were made not to be able to nurse and breastfeed our own children, because we had to nurse and breastfeed white babies.
Right.
Okay? That's a problem.
Right.
These things are problems. That's why I say you got to be very careful about who you have around your children. You know, because even culturally,
Right.
innately, ancestrally, that blood is real. The connection is real.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who don't know it, it's time for you to wake up, because you're being disrespected. And me, not going to be disrespected. I'm just not going to be.
Well, let me say this. I don't want to jump on my sisters out there, okay? But this is one thing I just find
Let's go
completely
there.
disrespectful.
Yeah, what's that?
Stop posting pictures with your children, and then the next picture is you shaking your backside.
Right.
I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
How do you say I love my child, and then
Yeah.
the very next picture, you're tip drilling?
Yeah.
I'm so confused. And then the top of your thing said God first. That's confusing.
Yeah.
You know, as a young man, I thank God I didn't witness none of my mama's ways. Cause I think that would have tore me up as a child.
None of her ways.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Because as an adult, you know,
Sure.
everybody. As a grown person, you're gonna be grown.
Yeah.
I didn't see my mom in that light. Never seen it.
Yes.
So I don't know that part of her.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
As wild as my dad was, never seen my dad in that light.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think
That
about these.
says a lot about
I think
your
about these
parents.
kids now, and I wonder what it's gonna do to them emotionally when they get older. Because Instagram, them pictures is out there.
Oh, it's out there.
So when you're able to see your grandmother shaking her butt at the club, that's
Shaking
going
it,
right,
shaking
and
it.
she can't come to tell you have respect for yourself.
Right.
So I kind of wonder about that part. Like I don't know what that's gonna do to us emotionally, seeing these
Well,
things
I
and
tell you, I got some videos out there. My sisters, they cringe. They're like, what are you doing? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, well, I have big breasts. So when I exercise and work out, but maybe I could put on a better
no,
shirt.
I'm talking about tip drilling.
Okay, tell us what that is.
That's when you put your booty to the camera, you're dropping it on the floor. It's intentional.
Oh.
I'm not talking about you just have accentual body parts and they just, that's not what I'm speaking on.
Okay,
That's to
okay.
each individual. That's
Okay,
whatever.
okay,
I'm talking about the women doing it on purpose.
okay.
That I just don't understand. If anything, just don't put your child on there. Because I feel bad I hate when, oh, look at my kid. And then you're like, oh, that's a cute kid. And you thumb a picture. You're like, man, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
that to me is a little,
yeah. Yeah, one of my closest friends in the world, we've been friends since when did I meet him? 1992. We've been friends, about 1992. And this is like one of my closest friends. Always platonic, never tried to push up on me or nothing like that. Just my friend. He has a daughter, and his daughter, she got married, and the husband was cheating on her, but they had this young baby. She had just had a baby. Now the baby is like 1.
Mm-hmm.
And the pictures that she have on her stories where she's sliding up and down the pole, and it's just so inappropriate. And so the other day, it came across my screen because I didn't want to see it. But when it come like, oh, Lord, let me look so I can tell her daddy what you're doing now. I'm like, are you aware? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm always here to talk to her. That's always available. But she was doing actions like what you were just
Right.
saying. And her daughter was in the video.
See? And to me,
I'm like,
now,
wow.
I feel like child service need to pull up, nigga, and be like, hey. Because this is the thing.
Yeah.
Because if it was a black man, because I've seen
Yeah.
this happen.
Yeah.
If a black man was showing his son how to clean a gun, they
Right.
would have came and arrested him.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yes.
And everybody would have said, well, he should have, whatever you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, it's okay for women to be in pictures with your breast out, you got your paw print going, and your child on your hip.
You know what?
No, and no one is addressing this, and it's
Yeah.
absolute. And I got sisters, so I
Yeah.
don't want them to think that that's okay.
Yeah, no, it's not okay, especially when you're raising children. Now, me, I'm almost 50, so if I show a little too much breast and a little too much booty, I ain't really tripping. I've done all I need to do. My son is grown. Is that irresponsible?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It is. So I need to do better.
Shout out to Janet, or who was that? Who did that on stage? What's your girl? I'm going down. What's that?
Mary J?
Mary J. Blige had her cheeks out on stage. 50-something years old.
Oh.
I said, if you don't get out of here.
Oh, no, it won't be no cheeks like that.
I was
But,
so
I
embarrassed.
work out. So, I've been inspiring people for like the past year and a half on videos, social media, Facebook and Instagram to work out. So when I'm putting on my workout clothes, those are my workout clothes.
Yeah,
So I did a video the other day.
Doc. I seen.
No,
I liked
I-
the workout video the other day.
Are they inappropriate?
No,
Oh, okay.
we talking about tip drilling video. Y'all know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
okay.
about.
Yeah, no. So you won't see
That's
Dr.
not
T
cool.
engaging in such
And I'm just
behavior.
not talking
Never
about for
have, though. I never have.
It's not even so much for the women. Like y'all can do what you want to do. I'm talking about just think about what that's gonna do to your child.
Yeah. Because
Like-
these videos, people,
Like,
and much to what Nick is saying, you put it in social media, you can delete it, but it's never deleted.
I can find
Understand that. It's never deleted.
it. It's impossible
Never.
to delete something once you record it. FYI.
And they tell you that. Facebook
Right.
tells you that. If you read the fine print, it's never deleted.
Your
So-
Black Planet account, they got all that information. Somebody got it.
Did I do Black Planet?
Somebody got it.
Nah. I did other
I still
ones,
got
though.
like I can log into my MySpace account.
Really?
I haven't
MySpace?
I've been on MySpace for 10 years. MySpace is
Yeah.
still up.
Is it?
You can log into your MySpace account.
Wow. Wow.
And they still got all your information. Everything you said when you was 12, nigga, they got it online, buddy.
And how would that work against you in court?
So let me ask you this, Doc. How do
Sure.
you think that affects people emotionally? Like I thought about this too. Like now we're in an age of everything is being kept, right? Everything you say, do, think, right? And I was thinking, as me growing up, I didn't really deal with that. You know, I didn't have to worry about if I said something to somebody 10 years from now, was they gonna pull up a piece of paper and be like, well, actually, you typed this on. You know, so I think about
when you was 16.75 years old,
right? Or even just to forget certain things, right? To forget certain traumas, and like Facebook will send you a reminder. Hey, remember your dog died 10 years ago, and you like, yo, I was over that. Like,
right.
So I often wonder about those things.
Sure.
Like I remember we had to go pick out the book out of the photo album, flip through the pages, and then somebody had to come tell you a story about the picture.
Sure.
You didn't just know, you know. So now I think about what do you think all this kind of reliving everything constantly?
You got to be careful of the access that you give people. Like you said, and you brought up a very valid point. The pictures that you take, the things that you say, the things that you record. How about you're not recording, but you're out in public and you're being recorded? What about that part? What about, and I think I saw somewhere where Facebook facial recognition was supposed to become a thing of the past. I don't know. I don't believe that.
It's already available, y'all. Google has it.
But guess what? But guess what? I remember these two men, excuse me, I think they committed a murder, some kind of crime they did. They got their beer and they were at was it the Chargers game or somewhere?
I remember that. That was recent.
Yeah, not too long, maybe within the past year and a half, 2 years. And the facial recognition identified them.
At the arena. Amongst,
so,
what, we talking about 40,000 people?
Yeah. That's a positive thing to me, but it's very invasive.
It's not a positive thing to me.
Well, if you kill somebody, you think you're not, so don't kill nobody.
That's the extreme, though. What if you just want to harass somebody? What if they want to kill you? So you thinking about, you're
Wouldn't
assuming.
You want your murderer to be found?
Because this is the assumption. The assumption is that the people on the other side are good people. I don't have that assumption.
Oh, I don't either.
So, yeah.
Very few people are good people to me.
No. We're talking about the same. I'm talking about a certain group of people.
Oh, yeah.
They're not good people.
The Ammonites?
Yeah, the Edomites are not good people, right? According to the scriptures. I didn't say that. The scripture said it. So in my personal opinion.
That's what the Lord said, y'all.
And I'm not talking about the individuals, right? I'm talking about as a collective body of people. So there could be good individuals within that. But as a collective body, when they move together, it seems to destruct so I just don't trust them so that technology could be good.
But for us,
not for them. I'm cool. I would rather them.
But for us, you're right. It won't be, because often what's good for them doesn't really work for us.
Right.
It backfires, like in reverse.
Come on,
you have all these satellites, and you have this brother on the ground for all these minutes with this fool's knee in his neck. You got all these satellites. You know how many global positioning satellites there are? Nobody saw that. Nobody.
Even think about all the technology we constantly have around us. I wonder what that does to us emotionally. You know, I wonder what the sound does to us emotionally.
Yeah.
I often think like everything emits sounds that we use, even if we don't hear it. You know what I'm saying?
But if we don't move, we stay stagnated and stuck. I tell you that.
Caller.
So when you know better, do better. Hey, caller.
Hey, what's up? Hey, what's going on? This is He Who Thinks out of Dallas. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you? Who's that?
Hey, what's happening? I'm enjoying this show, man. I always look forward to hearing some intriguing information. I mean, I like the comedy too, but I like this type of information. It's going to help move us forward.
Thank you.
So we're talking about emotional outlets and how all of this information that we have can affect us.
Correct.
And like y'all was saying, there's good and bad to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to stick with the bad because the people that are out to manipulate us, they're the ones with the information. And what that does, that gives them the ability to check your patterns before you even realize what you're about.
Right.
They're seeing your moves. They remember everything. They have it all recorded. I work for a company, and since the 90s, we've been getting cell phone information since the 90s.
Wow.
And I remember when I hear people saying we don't know what we're going to do with it, but it's going to be some very valuable information, and that's when big data started. So they were able to go back to the 90s, and people don't know how they got caught. They were able to ping things back then to put you in certain situations to know that, you was here. And I'm like, dang, how they know that? Because we was already gathering that kind of stuff.
Right.
And we got it like in 7 different spots in the U.S. But back to what I was saying, this big information, they're going to be able to manipulate us because they're going to know certain patterns about you before you realize, okay, man, this is what I do, and they're going to use that to move you certain ways. You know, I always, everything we get, Amazon, you know, they're telling us what to buy. You know, these movie things telling us what to look at. You like this, you like that, and they're going to be doing that on a whole different level. I just want to add that, and I'm enjoying the show.
Thank you. And then let me just ask you, what do you think about this? Because if you, I have found that if I have a conversation, like the other day I was on the show here, one of the other shows, and I was showing somebody some furniture that I thought was beautiful, that just scrolling through, I think I was like searching furniture or something on Google. And then for days after, every time I went to Instagram or Facebook, there's an ad for furniture. When you have phone conversations, I found that something related to my phone, if I'm talking about buying a Tesla, now I have all these advertisements for Tesla. So it's true. It's like everything that we're doing is being watched and monitored. And I just think that that is so invasive, you know, on our privacy. And we really don't have any privacy rights, though, if you think about it. What are they? What are they?
I agree. And the thing is that for the most part, it's only a certain group of people that have access to that information. There's nobody monitoring them. Like Nick was saying, we got to be able to monitor the people that are monitoring our data.
Absolutely.
Because more than likely, they're not going to use it they're going to exploit it, because everything is about money. So they're most definitely going to exploit it.
Yeah, exploit it and use it to keep us back so that we remain even less aware about the realities that are going on, which is why I so appreciate you calling in so that people can also hear from one who actually works in that field, you know, what is happening. And like Nick was saying, just the manipulation, being able to take part of information and to make it a truth, and we're using the rabbit ears again because we know that it ain't. But some of us are just not willing to wake up and to do the work.
But you know, when people say, "Oh, you're not woke," or "You not," this is my thing. If you guys see when I look at it, I see the witchcraft that they have put forth, right? So when you drive, I don't know how it is on the East Coast for the most part when you guys go through your neighborhoods, but out here, you can drive through a neighborhood in LA, and you could tell if it's a black or a Spanish neighborhood because you will see so many fast food places, so many. I drive through LA. Me and my wife, we do this all the time. We count how many churches per block we see.
And what about the liquor stores?
This is a fast food, liquor store, church, liquor store, fast food, tire shop, nail salon, hair salon, Boost Mobile, check cash in place, church.
Yeah.
So I go, and this is the thing, McDonald's. You could put a place anywhere. Yeah. You go to Woodland Hills, there's 2 McDonald's out there. In the area code of Woodland Hills, there's only 2. They did that on purpose. They will not allow them to build more McDonald's out there.
Why? They don't want their people obese?
They don't want their people getting poisoned. Right. That's why there's pavilions out there. They don't have food for less. You know what I mean? So when you think about your neighborhoods, you can just take a step back and look at what they're putting in front of you.
Right.
And then I took a marketing class. I would encourage everybody to take a psych class and a marketing class just to understand, like the gentleman, like He Who Thinks was saying, that they're operating from a different standpoint. So when I understood that the color red, right, makes you hungry, for example, right? No one knows that.
Right.
So you think you're hungry.
Yeah.
You're not. It's actually McDonald's. It's just mind tricking you.
And that's their messaging, subliminal messaging and advertising.
But in the best part is once you know, at least you have the option, right? So now I know when I'm passing. I've been to McDonald's since I read that article, because now I'm conscious, right? So now I know when I'm driving by McDonald's, I can actually stop and process my thought and say, wait a minute, am I hungry or is it the red sign?
Right.
And when I stop and think about McDonald's, it's the red sign, and I can keep driving. You know, when I think about and I would encourage everybody to apply it to everything. When you're watching things on television, understand the subliminal messaging to it, so at least you have the option to unplug it and to say, you know what, let me not get emotionally attached to this and just look at it as a movie.
Yeah, and monitor your children, please.
Caller.
Hey guys, it's K-Dot.
Hey K-Dot.
What's up? So, in defense of some of our people, I would like to say a lot more people are woke. A lot of us weren't woke because we didn't slow down. Like, the pandemic allowed us to get woke. because we were just very routine.
I like
But when the
that.
world stopped, we was able to see everything for what it really was. Now, I agree, Doctor, more people need to be woke. But I feel it's a lot more people woke now, especially millennials, which is a great thing for us because they want to be informed. They want to know. So, that's where YouTube and all that stuff is great because they go and find this information. Well, why are we not learning about black people? Why are we not doing this? Why are we not doing that? But if the world was still the way it was 2 years ago, none of them would be thinking like that, in my opinion.
No, I agree, K-Dot. You might be onto something.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. How can we wake them up some more? How can we speed this process up, though?
For me, a lot of it is we got to just stop watching TV in general because TV is just consistent programming. Like, they don't never want to see, I never see a black family. I either see an interracial family or some gays.
In these
Like,
commercials.
I'm gay, but
These commercials. That's all it is.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Doctor.
No, you're absolutely right. In these commercials, that's all you see are interracial couples. You don't see the black man and the black wife. I remember an advertisement last year for Christmas pajamas. Okay? They had multiple race families represented. You had an Asian family, a Hispanic family, a black family, and a white family. Who didn't have the daddy in the picture?
Right.
The black family.
Right.
That's a problem.
Right. That's what
Y'all better pay
You're not
attention.
seeing something that represents, you're easily influenced to think that's the norm. Like, what I can say, and I always encourage us to travel because, while I was gone, let me tell you what they don't show overseas. No commercials about get vaccinated, get vaccinated, get vaccinated. That is not no consistent thing nowhere else but here.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. K-Dot, would you say that that's your emotional outlet is when you travel?
Right, because I get to see, I like to see other cultures, and I like to see how other people live as opposed to, but it's just, that helps with your wokeness. Because, like I said, America, they want us, and by us, I mean black people, to be a certain way. So everything that we see is a derivative of how they want us to live for them. Because everywhere else is very much so driven around their culture and how they really live. Right. It's never just pinpointing like this group of Asians or this group of Sri Lankans or this group. It's just for everybody in their entirety.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
As opposed to what we see all the time, like I said, we're okay with interracial. We're okay with this. But we're not okay with an entire black family celebrating Christmas in their pajamas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
They ain't gonna show you no whole black family.
Yeah, we got daddies too.
Because that's not what they want to see. They don't want you to become that. Just like how we associate things with wealth. Like, we should associate land, LLCs. There's other things we should associate with wealth, but the programming associated with wealth is designer, a big home, a nice car.
Right.
Because that's what we see.
Right. Damn, that's real.
And there's a lot of it is like, once you become woke, you got to do your own due diligence. And that's what the problem is. I feel with our people, we just need more people to motivate us to do things. That's why, I love Doctor's platform. I'm going to try to be better on my platform. Because, we represent each other. So if I see somebody who looks like me speaking things that I'm not accustomed to hearing, I'll be more receptive.
There you go. That's what we need.
That's how you wake them up, K-Dot.
Right.
Now, where are you going to be performing? Don't forget to let us know,
please.
Yeah,
where you performing, K-Dot?
On the 30th, and then once I get the tickets and all the details for the comedy show that I told you I was going to host at this lounge, I'll put that up.
Okay, for sure. Tell the
I
people.
just need to get on my social media more as well.
Well, get the people your social media so they can follow you right now.
Yes.
What'd you say?
I said, give me your social media so they can follow you.
Oh, it's _KAYDOTT, and y'all can catch me on the Rollout Show, Speedy and Friends, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm going to be better with coming because, it's my passion, and work is my bill.
And K-Dot, I'm going to say this. Your emotional outlet, I think it is traveling because you seemed a lot more zen when you came back.
I have to get away.
Yeah, you seemed a little more at peace when
That's great.
I'm easily triggered, like, especially when in regards to us and like how we being treated, and
Right.
like we didn't treat bad here,
Facts.
super bad.
Facts.
You're right.
So you know,
And it's not okay.
All right, thanks for the
And
call,
it's not
K-Dot.
okay.
Make sure y'all follow her. All right, love you,
all right,
K-Dot.
good
We
show,
out of
thank
here.
you. Love you too.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
Shout out to K-Daisy, man. Y'all make sure y'all follow her. Yeah, you know, I seen K-Dot before she left. She was a little uptight.
Yeah.
But I think the world was, you know, everybody was
Yeah.
everybody was stressing. But it
Yeah.
was so weird when she came back. She just seemed a little more at peace.
Yeah.
And I think traveling definitely does that to you.
Yeah.
But the scarier part, I think that says, I don't think it's traveling. I think it's where we live.
It's where we live.
It's the messed up place. I don't
It's
think it's the traveling that's helping
almost
us.
cuss. It's
Yeah.
effed up. It's pretty effed up.
When
you
when I got back, I was like, it's not Hawaii that's nice.
And we built
It's
this
America
country.
that's jacked
we
up.
built this country.
Right. It's
And we get
here.
treated the worst.
It's here that's messed up. I feel like, yeah, I think we all have to find outlets, man, and just figure out a way to kind of ease the stress and change our reality, you know.
Outlets that are not harmful to our bodies.
Right.
So not over drinking, not over smoking,
Try
not
farming.
using drugs. You know, yeah, try farming.
I want to try wood carving is my next
Try a green thumb,
occupation.
and let me know what you're growing.
Yeah. I definitely want to start a garden. I think that'll help. But I want to grow things I can eat. That's the main thing. You know, I don't want to just look at plants.
Well, I think that's the smartest thing to do, because when you look at, well, every few months there is something contaminated. I ate at Chipotle over here the other day and I got sick.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, oh Lord.
My
Is it
rib
the
stopped me.
onions?
She stopped me eating at Chipotle like 2 years ago. I used to eat Chipotle all the time.
Because of the fight, was it?
No, she said, what? It's sea-dew.
What is that? Can the people hear her?
No, it's sea-dew in the veg. I don't want to say that on air though, because we don't have the facts. I don't want to. Yeah, we can't say that on air. But no, but listen. So she didn't tell me that. That's not why I stopped eating it. What's the name of the place?
Chipotle.
Chipotle. She said it looked like prison, like a prison servant, like serving prison food.
Like
So every time I walk in there, I'll be like, it do look a little lunch table-ish in here. So you know, but I sneak and get it every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? I still like Chipotle. It's cool.
Yeah, I liked it too, but the other day, because I stayed out here, I was like, I ain't driving back home. Like tonight, I might stay again. I don't know.
Don't go to Chipotle.
Now, I ain't going to Chipotle. Chipotle won't get my money today. But I was sick, and I'm like, oh, my stomach. The hell? So, got to be more cognizant about what I'm putting in my body. I think it's good.
And how nice would it be to like, because for me, for the most part, we eat a lot of vegetables. You know, like I love roasted vegetables.
Yes. You like Brussels sprouts?
Anything. Throw it in the
Caramelize
oven.
them. Oh.
Listen, y'all finna get y'all listen.
Go ahead, let
cut
me
some
take
carrots up, some little potatoes, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, onion. Then I take 2 whole cloves of garlic, right? And I wrap that in foil. Put a little bit of butter and oil on it, and let that cook inside. That's gonna
in the air fryer?
No, I put this in the oven.
Try the air fryer.
No.
Ooh,
The oven, I feel the air fryer, but the oven gonna change your life. And then literally, we might throw some mashed potatoes on the side, and I'm cool. I could just eat.
Yeah.
I could just eat grilled
I'm
vegetables.
not a big meat eater either.
Oh, I love some grilled veggies, man. So I would love to be able to grow my own vegetables and then be able to eat
Yeah, I
them.
would love for you too.
Yeah, I think emotionally though, like you said, because like just to take one of those stresses out of my life of where the hell did this come from?
Yeah.
Why am I paying $10 for lettuce?
You would save so
It's
much
crazy.
money
It's
if you grew
crazy
your
to
own
me.
food. And it's, you know,
Crazy.
if you have the space to do it, or even if you don't have like the yard. My grandmother used to have the most amazing garden. Oh, her backyard she lives in Compton. Her backyard is huge.
Oh yeah.
She
If y'all don't
had
know, some of the people who
everything.
lived in Compton early, they have because it used to be a farm town.
Yes.
Yeah, so a lot of the property is huge.
Yeah, and so the
Yeah.
farm towns are by the community college. She lives on the other side. But her backyard was so huge, she had everything you could think of.
That's dope.
So you want some sunflower seeds? Just go shake them off the sunflower.
Yeah, see,
Throw them in the oven. Put a little
I'm
salt.
trying to do that right there.
I'm telling you,
I'm trying to do that.
watermelons. But
Yep.
think about the money you save, because to buy the seed is only a few pennies.
Right.
You can get some seeds for under $1.
Right. I just feel like
It's amazing.
I feel like it'd be good emotionally to just to not have to rely on. Like I think about this, you know, as a man, this crosses my mind. Like I want to be self-sufficient.
Sure.
Right? I want to be able to change my tire. Like those things are important to me. I don't want to have to call another man to do something basic.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think like feeding yourself is probably the most basic thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I honestly feel like if you can't feed yourself, and that doesn't mean go to the grocery store and earn money.
Right.
You can't grow or fish or hunt nothing. You're kind of relying on the government, no matter how you look at it.
Well, that's kind of true. Like what the Bible, I say this all the time. If you teach a man, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, toil his own land, cure his own water, he'll eat forever.
Facts.
And the truth is, those things are not expensive at all, not compared to what we're doing. You know.
I think it just takes effort, a little discipline, takes a little want. But I think, like you're saying, like we talking about today, emotions, man. I think it'd be just amazing to unplug from all the electronics,
Yes.
all the social media, play with some dirt.
Because I
grow
find
something.
myself hours and hours, and I have to be like, girl, get
Right.
it together. Whatever is going, it's not even that important. These people, they just do stuff for attention. I just laugh at them. I give them the laughter they want. It's free entertainment.
Right.
But if we counted the times, how much time we're spending on social media,
Oh, my phone tells me.
mine does
It's
too.
embarrassing.
I try not to look at it because it's embarrassing. I try
shut
not
that
to look
shit
at
off.
it.
Like, I'm cool. Nigga. I'm not going back on here for the rest of the week.
But let's spend that time with our kids.
Right.
Let's take them for a walk around the block. Let's take them to the local park, to the beach. Have a conversation with them. You know, find out what they're thinking. You'd be surprised. When I started talking to my son, like,
Oh yeah.
son, what's going on? Or some of the convoluted ideas he had. And I'm like, okay, I'm not being a very dutiful mother right now. So part of it is being able to take our own responsibilities for where we lack as parents. And that's okay. We don't like it, though. Like
Right.
when you have children, you're going to see you don't like it. But when it comes to your child and your children, you're able to put me aside for them. Because the reality is they're younger and they don't have the wherewithal. We
Right.
may not be perfect as parents, but we do have some experience in living. And, you know, just a conversation with mine, that, you talking about get woke, that woke me up.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, when did we get here? But okay, you know, and so we're here. And so this is where we're going. And I realized how angry my son was at me. He was angry at me for a lot of stuff. And I didn't even know, you know, but now I know. And so in life, when we know better, we should do better. So if you're in situations and things that are not advantageous for you, your children, your family, it's time to release and let it go. You got to pray. You got to be strong and be vigilant and always draw on your ancestral roots, because you guys, we are strong people. We were saying this earlier. We are strong people, and it's our strength and our tenacity that continues to sustain us. But let's keep waking up. And those around us that are asleep, don't be mad at them. Lovingly tell them, you know what, sis? You know what, bro? Nah. You want your kids to be successful, but you got them raised by that.
Right.
You know, they're in the school with that. That's all they know. That's a problem. I'm telling you, that's a problem. And I'm grateful because I grew up in the hood, South Central LA, and all we had were blacks and a few Hispanics. We called them Mexicans. And I still do. And it's not a disrespectful thing, but many of them were from Mexico. So, but then you deal with the political correctness, and here go those rabbit ears again, you know, and the reality is people are who they are, you know, and then I could go on and on and on, and I'm thinking about having one of my close friends, Dr. Daniel Walker, join us on the show, but I just don't know how deep we can get with it. But when you talk about a historian, oh, I got friends.
I'm a bit of a historian too, so I would enjoy that if you can.
Yes, I'm gonna try to have him to join us soon, because, you know, I have a platform. Thank you, Speedy. Thank you, Nick, for the platform, because we have to be able to educate our people and not pretend like things aren't happening that are happening.
Or wait for somebody else to help us. That part I don't agree with.
You know?
I'm cool. I don't want no help from them, man.
That's the part.
I'm cool.
We are resilient enough where we can help each other.
Yeah, I'm straight, man.
So you don't need somebody riding in on their white horse coming in to save you.
Right.
We should be able to save each other.
You know, they killed all the buffaloes and then made them on the endangered species list so they could save them.
Yeah.
So I just want you to think about that ideology, okay?
Yeah.
So they'll do the same to you.
Yeah. If there's nothing that's not planned, let's just say it that way. Is that a fair way to say it? It's not planned, and the closer we get to understanding, like the brother that called in, what's going on, then they have to take it, twist it, and turn it a little different to keep us confused or still in the dark. So now guess what? It's time to come out the dark and into the light. Out the dark and into the light. And remember, one of the first things I said when we began this broadcast is the ecosystem. What does your ecosystem look like? It's you in the center. What's outside your center in your home? What does your home look like? All right. What do your friends look like? What does your community look like? What does it look like? Because those are the things that are shining, and those are the things that your children and children are going to look at. Is it really good for them to look at? I don't know. That's for the individual to decide. So, Nick, you got to give me a positive affirmation.
I got one right here. This
yes.
is Zephaniah 2 and 1.
You know, hold on. Zephaniah.
I'm going to name my son Zephaniah.
That's a tight name.
I love this name.
What does it mean? Do you know?
I'm going to look it up. I absolutely love this name every time I see it.
Okay.
Zephaniah 2 and 1. Gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. So we've been talking a lot about our emotional space as a people, both black and brown. And the scriptures is telling you, right, not to join unto your other people, not to go down to there and figure out what they got going on. It says to gather yourselves together. That means build up your own communities.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with, being amongst other nations of people, but it is something wrong when you're relying on those other people. You know, the reason why the Chinese people can have a mutual relationship with other nations of people is because they have their own.
Right.
They can all, no matter, even if they live in Beverly Hills or whatever, they can all go down to Chinatown and find work and find a place to live and take a loan out from a Chinese bank, And I think that's extremely important. So I feel like as we grow as a community of people, we should have our own psychologists. We should have our own doctors. So at least it's an option.
Yes.
At least I can go to someone who looks like me, who shares the same family history maybe I have, the same upbringing. So they can better relate to why I'm going through certain things.
Sure.
Even the foods that we eat, So I think that if anybody out there, instead of us complaining, we should gather ourselves together, do like the doc here, and start your own. Don't wait for nobody. Start your own.
Get your own.
And get it going and let's start teaching our people what we know and just go from there.
That's right. Gather
ourselves together, y'all. Shout out to Zephaniah. Great name.
Zephaniah 2 and 1. That's in the Bible.
It's in the good book, baby. The good book.
Zephenia. Is that correct?
That was pretty close. It seemed a little longer. I got a photographic memory.
Just look up Zep in the Bible. You'll find it.
Zephaniah.
Oh, I was real off. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah, Zephaniah.
You want to put that in the chat in case somebody wants to have it? And then also Titus 2 and 4.
Absolutely.
Talking about structure.
Absolutely.
So my affirmation is going to be a few. Now, what are affirmations? Affirmations are positive statements that we say that continue to keep us thriving. There are things that we need to remember as we go through this thing called life. And they are positive, and they are things also, they can be things that we speak into existence as if they were, so that they are, right? So for me, I am resilient. I wrote them down. I am strong. I am black. I am proud. I make my ancestors proud. That's me. That's me.
I like the way you ended that, Doc. I like that last one.
Mm-hmm.
That inspires accountability, so I like that.
It is about accountability.
I like that.
But y'all know before we go, we got to do some deep breathing.
Everybody stand up at home, man.
Everybody get up on your feet.
Get up, get on up.
Y'all know I got on something tight and sexy, so let me pull it down.
Let me make sure they can see you.
And let me tell you guys, don't be mad. Because I know I do all the shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I love it, and Sunday, because you get to see different sides of me. I don't fit into the proverbial box that I'm a doctor. I have to behave a certain kind of way. That ain't me.
Right.
I'm not her. I'm Dr. Tanisha R. Timms, okay? And I kind of move to the beat of my own drum. And my mother absolutely loves it. When my sisters get mad at me, like, you're going to wear that? Boy, you should have seen the response the first time I did Freaky Friday. Why you acting like y'all don't have sex? I don't understand. Okay? Yeah.
Y'all better quit pretending out there.
Quit, be real about it. There's nothing taboo. So here we go. Now, I you know what? I have brought my diffuser with some pure oils. I'm gonna bring it, but I left it in my car. So, the proper way to engage in deep breathing. Now, part of my Native American side, I like to take off my shoes because it helps you to get more grounded with the earth and to draw off of the electromagnetic fields of the earth, okay? Simple. You're going to inhale deeply through your nostrils. You're going to feel the air go up. Then you're going to control the air coming down and hold it here. And I'll give you a count. But now, I can hold mine a pretty long time. I'll try not to do more than 4 or 5 seconds because I don't need y'all passing out. Okay, so go as long as you can go without passing out, right? And then there's something symbolic about it, because you guys know I'm into health and wellness, health and nutrition. If you need to detox, cleanse your system, CBD products, male enhancement, female enhancement, of course I have all those things. But when you talk about cleansing the body, cleansing the spirit, you got to begin to get rid of toxins in your body. And metaphorically speaking, anything that is toxic in your life, because toxic situations, relationships with mates, relationships with children, employers, let me tell you, it takes years off of our living, okay? So when you get here, when you feel that air here, I want you to hold it. I want you to squeeze it. And when I do this, I want you to bring it up with me. We'll be doing it in unison. And then I want you to blow it out through your mouth. And let's begin to get rid of things that are keeping us stuck. Because if we're not moving, we're stagnated. And we are not living the way that God intended us to live. Okay? So let's get moving. Let's just do it a few times. We're going to breathe in through our nose. Let's do it together. Every time I do that, I feel like a relaxation in my body. So the key is to breathe in deeply, hold it, and pull, force the air up. Force it up and blow it out. Let's do it again. Inhale deeply. One more time. All right, we are releasing. Shout out to my little niece, superstar, Miss Little Donut on the line. She just joined. Let me just tell you, Little Donut is a superstar student, straight A's, track star, and she is an artist. So if you need some paintings done, let me know. We'll get them done for you. So I thank you guys for joining me today, and I will be back, if the Lord says the same, next Sunday, every Sunday, 11 a.m. We're going to get closer to that time. I just had some incredible traffic that was unpredictable. But I am also here Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I am the resident doctor, very proud to be, for Speedy and Friends, Rollout Digital Live, and we have some very exciting things going on here. So many of you are watching this broadcast free because Nick was kind enough to stream it through social media. But we would like for you to subscribe. It's only $5 a month, and boy, you get more than just Dr. T. You get a lot of shows. And if you're an adult, we're going to invite you to go ahead and get that subscription that includes Freaky Friday, because it gets pretty freaky around here. And Dr. T is here just to keep the people calm. All right? So be blessed. Be blessed. Be a blessing to other people. Pay it forward. See you next time.